Tragically, former President Trump slashed our international assistance to Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, slashed the resources that we were contributing to address the root causes of irregular migration.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas blaming former President Trump for the tidal wave of illegal immigrants pouring into the United States through the southern border. This week, Customs and Border Patrol officials announced that agents encountered over 212,000 people at the U.S.-Mexico border last month, up from about 188,000 the previous month. The July numbers are the highest in roughly 2 decades. Behind the scenes, the secretary is striking a very different tone. In leaked audio obtained by Fox News, Mayorkas acknowledges that the current situation is unsustainable and needs to be addressed aggressively. Take a listen.
This is unsustainable. These numbers cannot continue. We cannot get to a point where we were a couple weeks ago, and we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. We're looking at the policy options.
Joining me now is the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Krikorian. Mark, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's just start with what seems like an obvious falsehood. I mean, the idea that the Trump administration dramatically cut aid to Northern Triangle countries isn't just spin. I mean, we can show that that seems to be a lie based on the numbers, Mark. I had my producers pull some of the numbers. Turns out the Trump administration, on average, it seems, gave as much or more to these countries than the Obama administration annually. Honduras, Trump, $120 million. Obama, $88 million. Guatemala, Trump, $192 million. Obama, $162 million. El Salvador, Trump, $91 million. Obama, okay, $103 million. The notion that the cut in aid from Trump caused the crisis, what do you make of it?
The technical word for that is a crock. It's absolute nonsense. And in fact, interestingly enough, the example you gave of El Salvador, where there was a small cut in aid, El Salvador is the one place where illegal immigration is actually going down a little bit. And El Salvador is no longer the number 4 biggest country for illegal immigrants after Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. Now it's Ecuador, which is 1,000 miles further south. And those, are we going to fix their root causes too? No, this is totally on President Biden. And it's no surprise that his subordinates are basically spinning like mad to try to deflect the blame on somebody else.
I mean, this leaked audio, I'm sure you heard it today, Mark. It has the DHS secretary referring to what's going on at our southern border as unsustainable. And this is the Biden appointee down there, Biden appointee talking about this situation in a way that it's been obvious to me and you and everybody watching who's paying attention to this for many months now. But it feels like until they're walloped with political consequences, this Biden White House just keeps on going. I mean, if it's unsustainable, how are they going to allow it to continue?
Good question. I mean, I'm not sure what they can do, what is possible for this administration to actually do. The only way this is going to end is if they do a full 180-degree turn on policy and re-embrace the Trump policies. For instance, remain in Mexico. Also, there's a regulation that if you pass through other countries, you have to show that you applied for asylum there before we let you apply for asylum here. They're not going to do any of that stuff. And so it's not clear to me what they think they can do. They are doing some things, which is finally letting the Border Patrol do things like return illegal aliens at a different place along the border in order to disrupt the smuggling networks. And in other cases, flying people, instead of just pushing them across the border, sending them deeper into Mexico.
Can you explain that smuggling networks point, by the way? That's very interesting. I haven't heard that. So they're moving them. Yeah. Tell us about how that process works.
It's called lateral repatriation, which is just a fancy way of saying if you're caught in one place on the border, they fly or bus you 100 miles away and then send you back across there. The point is the smugglers you hired and the networks you were using to get across the border don't necessarily operate there. This is something the Border Patrol has done periodically for many, many years, decades. They weren't allowed to do it under Biden. Now they're so desperate that Biden people are saying, okay, we'll let you try to do your jobs a little bit. But it's a tiny little pinprick. Last month, the majority of illegal immigrants arrested by the Border Patrol were released into the United States. This is the first time that has ever happened. it doesn't matter what tactics you apply to the handful that remain if most of them are getting away with it, are being let go. And once they're in the country, the Biden administration has said publicly that there is no chance that they will be tracked down or removed if they end up becoming, remaining illegal aliens, don't go to their hearings, whatever.
Right. So is that all through abuse of the asylum process, Mark? Is that what is getting all these people, that number you just mentioned from last month? Over 220,000 apprehensions, we know, is what they saw in July. Is that asylum process stuff for the most part?
Basically, yes. It's a key. What they're doing is releasing these people in order for them to apply for asylum. Some of them are actually being released on the honor system, telling them to turn themselves into ICE when they get where they're going, so that then the process of you get into deportation proceedings and then claim asylum. These people, 80-90% of the people being released on the honor system are not even turning themselves into ICE. Of course, I'm surprised anybody is. So yes, this is the key problem here, is this archaic, anachronistic asylum system where people can just say the magic words of asylum and somehow we're handcuffed, mainly by a UN treaty that we signed, to go through this charade instead of just say sorry, no, and turn them back.